Welcome back. This time we are at Todd. Todd is so excited. I'm so excited to be here, man. You said you thought you'd be a coach coaching basketball, and now you're actually coaching entrepreneurs. And together, you're serving people who just once kind of raised us. I think that's one of the things that you mentioned last time. Were you supposed to be coaching college hoops, not running a senior care franchise empire? What really happened, man? Like, how did you get here instead of on the court?
Yeah, maybe it was success by failure, but we all, when we're going through college, are trying to figure out what we want to do with our life and what that job is going to be as we're getting close to graduation. And as I was going through college, I really wanted to be a teacher and a coach, and I tried to get into different education departments and schooling systems, and I could not get in. I continued to fail the tests to get into the School of Education in a couple different areas. So I just simply changed directions, went into and finished a business degree, economics and political science degree. And while I was in college is when I stumbled onto my first opportunity of franchising, which led to a 35-year career in supporting franchise owners in their businesses. So it's pretty ironic how that happens. I still coach though, so
Yeah,
I just
yeah, yeah.
coach kids.
Sometimes
So,
I tell you what, man, I don't know if you're a man of faith, but I would tell you that I remember growing up and I used to tell myself that one day I'm going to be a host and I'm going to be on this stage. And Todd, look what I'm doing, man. Here I thought I was going to be the next Ryan Seacrest, but I'm hosting. This is the stage that we have, the platform, right? So sometimes it is happening. It's happening in so many different ways. When did you realize, though, that business could be both successful and meaningful, which in reality is kind of the same thing as sports, right? There's so much success that happens in sports is very meaningful when you're out there playing with a team, and really you got the mix of both worlds.
yeah, I'm very fortunate. Thank you for that. I think all throughout my career, franchising is really about a distribution model of helping people that want to be entrepreneurs or aren't are entrepreneurs and bring them into business ownership and provide them with a proven operating system, support, branding, and all the things that we may get into today. Um, and that's meaningful in and of itself. I mean, every day you can say, I'm really helping people reach their dream and reach their goals. But the next level has been an opportunity to work in a career that is so purpose driven in an industry in senior care, which is so meaningful and so massive right now in our world of the aging population and how we take care of people that at one point took care of us.
Hmm.
And so it's really, I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to blend my business and franchising background and leadership skills with an industry like this, and get up every day and be very proud of it.
What's some of the industries talked about? 35-year career in franchising. What careers have you touched, or you're not so much careers, but what industries have you touched?
Yeah, good question. So I started my career with a company called Winmark Corporation, which people may know the brand names. It's a retail franchisor. Played Against Sports, Once Upon a Child, Plato's
Okay,
Closet,
yeah,
Style
yeah.
Encore, Musical Round. I was part of the early management team when we had two locations and one brand, and we built that to 1,200 locations and five brands. And
Wow.
that was about fast scale retailing, supporting franchisees, and there's a lot of lessons in mentoring and successes and failures that went along with those 20 plus years. But that was the retail industry. From there, I moved into health and wellness when I oversaw development for a company called Snap Fitness, which was 2,000 health clubs all across the United States and 20 countries. So entering into the health and wellness, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Um, Another opportunity took me to a company called United Franchise Group. We were literally, when I was there, we had 8 brands. And we were in food franchising, we were in co-workspace, renewable energy, promotional products, sign franchise business. I mean, you name it, we were in it. And what a tremendous experience to touch these different industries. But even more important than that, to really support franchisees in those businesses so they could be successful.
Yeah.
Um, I've been in the experiential category with experience brands like a pedal pub and escape room franchises. I've done a lot of things.
Ah, yeah. I'm
Frankly,
about to say,
I can't
man,
keep
living
track of
everything.
all of them, but they all have incredible value in my life. And again, as I said, the most important part of it is helping franchisees succeed in their marketplace
Yeah.
help them reach their personal and financial goals so they can serve their community. That's what it's all
So,
about.
so when you talk about the value, right? They all have value, and you took value from every single one of them, and you brought that value now to touching hearts. You just kind of told me a little bit of what's happened in the last year, man. What do you bring to touching hearts? What did you bring to touching hearts? And what are some of the big surprises that you've seen or accomplishments that you've made within these 12 months?
Yeah, it's been a quick 12 months, but it's been fun. When I came into the company, you know, you have to appreciate that the founder, Renee Peterson, and her two sons, Andrew and Ryan, built a company for 18 years, which
Wow.
is hard to do, and put, about 60 locations on the map, which in and of itself is not a trivial matter because it's hard to do in franchising. Most franchise companies never get to that level. So all that hard work and foundation was built. The company was ready to take on the next level. How do we grow now from 60 to 100? How do we grow from 100 to 200? How do we do that in an industry that's booming right now? And leadership is the first place that you start. So when I came in, I was able to apply my experiences, my learnings, the things that I've done in the franchise development side, the things that I've done in leadership as it relates to leading franchise organizations. So all of that is, we've doubled the size of our team since I've come in.
Wow.
We've gone from awarding 0 franchises the last 4 years to awarding 20 since I've been in. And we have a good chance of doubling that number. Maybe not this year, but in probably the next 12 months. That's tremendous growth. And so we're putting
100%.
new great owners into business. We're finding really amazing, high quality people to become our franchisees that share in our mission, on the new development side. But really, the most important thing I believe that we're doing today is building a culture of excellence and working with our franchisees to help and support them in every way possible by bringing in things like franchise coaches, by really enhancing our marketing side of the business, by now recently hiring a VP of Ops to really oversee training. All of these things that's happening to bring more support to our franchisees. And they're succeeding. We're having one of the best years in the history of the company right now. And this company and organization has done very well. When I speak about organization, I'm talking about the franchise system and network at large. So really gratifying to see
Yeah.
what's been going on, and we're just going to keep pushing forward.
Exciting stuff, man. You're not just scaling a brand, you're scaling dignity for the people who raised us. You mentioned that a little earlier. What makes this work, you think, different though from every other franchise system you've led? And of course, it seems like there's an interest here because, as you mentioned, these are the people that raised us.
Hmm.
I'm looking to make sure that even yourself, right, Todd, that when you get to that level, that there's a place that you know that you want to go to because you created the model, you created what that looks like, that legacy. What's so different? What makes this different?
The human connection is very different. This is not a transactional business. We're not selling subs. We're not selling hot dogs. At the food mart. We're in a human connection business, and we have very important work to do, and we have people that are involved. I mean, if you look at our mission, it's really important to us is that we really value the people we serve and those who serve them. So what am I referring to? The people we serve as our client.
Yep.
Typically, it's that senior that needs in-home care, and those who serve them, which is the caregiver. You don't have a business with either one of them. And so I've never been in an industry, in a business that has the level of compassion that takes place in the every single day business, because it is a human to human business. We try to match the best caregivers with that client to really enhance the quality of care and the dignity in their home, help them with their independence, and do all the non-medical things that we do, of course, within the framework of the job. But there's been nothing like this in terms of, again, just what I'll continue to go back to, which is the human connection in this business.
You just mentioned serving those two different groups, your clients and your caregivers. How do you continue to serve them without ever losing either of them?
Yeah, it's a great point. So I think we start with the caregiver, because that's the most difficult. if we do our job correctly and we provide great service to the client and we offer them and their families what they're looking for and give them compassion and empathy and dignity in their homes and really, really help to make their life as great as possible, then we've done our job. But I think the biggest challenge we face, and we all face in this industry, is the simple shortage of caregivers and in the labor force. It's epidemic at this point because of the growth of the senior population and the need for more caregivers. 90% of people that are surveyed over the age of 65 will tell you they want to age at home. So the future of healthcare now is shifting to home care. And we have to have people that can support that business. So what are we doing? And a lot of people have a lot of great ideas, and we listen constantly. In the industry, we share ideas as leaders. But it really starts with making sure, I think, first and foremost, that you have the right culture within your organization, making sure that you are paying fair wages, making sure that you are recognizing your caregivers. Sometimes recognition is really the biggest thing that they are looking for, that they're being listened to and heard, flexibility in their scheduling. I mean, there's all these components, and probably one thing that is becoming really important is ongoing training. Many just don't want to be a caregiver. They want to be educated and trained on multiple aspects of care. We're really focused on dementia care training right now. So that's something that we're helping our caregivers with. So we have constant ongoing training and education for them. These components put together hopefully will provide us the retention that we're looking for so that we can continue to serve the market, because we don't want to turn clients away because we don't have enough caregivers.
If the Hard and Hustle podcast has ever sparked any idea or made you think differently, do us a favor. Make sure you guys share this, post it on LinkedIn, or even text that nonprofit friend that you just have. Whatever works, this is what keeps the conversation going and allows us to just grow this community together. Seriously, we appreciate you. That's good, man. I'm pouring into those that are pouring into others. That's so important. Right. And sometimes as leaders, we forget that we pour into so many, like your role that you're in, you're pouring. And sometimes it's hard to pour from an empty cup. So making sure that these caregivers are fueled, right, that they have the knowledge that is needed so they can continue to just serve and serve and serve. And as you mentioned, but also give them that recognition. That goes such a long way. Just recently I had a client and it was so simple, but the way that she responded to me, just very grateful. Like this never happened. I've never had a manager that cared the way that you do, and truly makes a difference. Like that's how you build loyalty. That's how you build long-term relationships. Because in reality, it's not that they're just coming to a job, but we're building a relationship with them, with our clients and our caregivers. Like there's relationship to be built on both sides. So I like that you think about how do we continue to pour into. I mean, you even mentioned about hiring the VP for training, right? Making sure that we're doing training. This is a industry that is booming. We talk about the baby boomers and what's happening in the next 5 years. Like, yeah, you're in a really great place and putting the structure in place now, not waiting for the time that is going to happen. You're building those processes and the systems now so that when it happens, you guys are ahead of the curve. But I also ask, ahead of the curve, does that mean that we're implementing, you mentioned the growth, is that technology, is that a little bit of AI? Like how do we get to growing also in a space where I feel a lot of industries like yourself are kind of lacking a little bit of talent. It's hard to find talent, right? Are you guys implementing AI to kind of cover that?
Yeah, it's a great question and a great observation because it's really top of mind. So, home care is always going to be this human-to-human experience, but it doesn't mean that we ignore technology. In fact, technology and AI is currently in place right now across the board in so many home care businesses, whether it's at the franchisor level or the franchisee level. So we think about it a couple different ways. Number one, I recognize in almost every facet of trying to get into idea creation and strategy is that you need to involve franchisees because they're the tip of the spear. They're the people that are out there every single day executing in the community. So one of the strengths that I play off of that I've learned for 3 decades is franchisee involvement in everything that you do. So first thing I did is I developed a tech and innovation task force made up of 7 franchisees, and we meet monthly, and we are constantly testing new ideas, testing AI, testing remote monitoring technologies, anything and everything to do 2 things. A, to enhance the client experience. How do we do that? And B, how do we become more efficient and productive on the back end? And that's where AI is really making a major play for us. So
100%.
we have that in place. The remote technology piece is interesting because, frankly, it's difficult to get adoption on these kind of products because, from the client standpoint, because they have to have trust in the fact that there may be a monitoring system in their house. Maybe it's a wristband or it's something else in their home that helps the caregiver and the family and everybody else monitor what's going on when there's not a caregiver there, when they're alone. And these technologies are important, but they're going to take a little bit of time, and we're testing them right now. We're using them at the unit level. And the other one that I mentioned is just AI on the back end. How do we automate the repetitive, sometimes mundane tasks that can be handled and sometimes done better with AI? So
True.
we can take those individuals that were doing those tasks and reallocate them to other areas of the business that are a bigger priority, like customer care, client care, marketing, whatever it may be. So, like, we are literally testing stuff as we speak right now.
It's so funny that you say sometimes even better, and it's not to belittle anybody that does a job, but I think when people do that type of admin, no one really went to school to learn admin. No one learned to school to go do all this paperwork. They really want to be able to have that hands-on experience, as you mentioned, that human connection, doing things at a higher level that makes so much more sense. And something that you talked about was experience, and we talked about it a little bit offline before we even started recording, is that you want people to be put in places when it comes to our caregivers and our clients to create that experience. Why does experience matter, man? We talked about franchises that kind of were behind the wheel because the experience kind of lacked. Somebody else comes into play, gives you the experience, all of a sudden they win. All right. Why does experience matter to you?
Well, there's a couple pieces of experience. One is the customer client experience or the caregiver experience in our case, but let's call it the client experience. Oftentimes if you have to be constantly innovating, first of all, I'll say, if you are standing still, you're going to get left behind. A classic case of that is technology. You just mentioned it. The senior care business has lagged in the technology area, and now everybody's trying to catch up to it. Technology in of itself and tech companies are trying to make a play for this industry because it's so big and growing so fast. So we want to make sure that on the technology side, if the tech isn't going to enhance the client or caregiver experience, we're not going to implement it. It doesn't make any sense for us. So the bottom line is, with companies in general or franchise companies, you can't really sit still. You have to be innovating, and innovation means constantly looking at your standards, looking at the way you conduct your business, the operating systems that you're on, helping to make sure that our franchisees can run successful, good, profitable businesses. They can stay long-term in their communities and operate. So these are all about, ultimately, the client experience, which if you treat them properly and you have a good experience, and we do surveys, by the way, all the time, that usually will lend itself to a really good, sustainable business.
I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, you mentioned technology, you mentioned just the healthcare industry being behind. I think a lot of the times it's because they're not digital yet. They're still doing so much paper, and I'm seeing organizations that when they want to implement AI, they don't realize that data matters, right? Like, as you guys are implementing AI, was there anything that was throwing up these red flags that that you guys realized you had to to get together before you even implement AI, such as going from paper to digital, or make sure data's being organized? Like, what are some of the things that you guys learned as you were implementing AI? Because a lot of people want to use AI, but they don't know where they start. What should they do before even going to ask or look for a tool and a resource? Because to me, that's what AI is. It's a tool and a resource. And whether people believe it or not, that it's replacing people. I don't think it's replacing people. You mentioned earlier, it's just replacing. It's allowing us to run from what seems to be let's say, how many people do you have in your company? Or
So
just
corporately we have we're a small team. We have 10 people in our company corporately,
10 people, right? So with
and
AI, I could feel like you're running 20, 30 people just implementing a
right,
little bit of AI. So it's not
yeah,
here to replace anybody, but it's allowing us to really double sometimes on the way that we operate without physically having that huge overhead cost. But I can imagine there were some things that you had to work on before implementing AI. Anything
yeah.
that comes to mind?
Well, and there's at different places in different parts of this ecosystem that we have of franchisor franchisees. I look at it on the franchisee operating side of it in their offices, and you know the first thing we try to look at is, obviously, is the tool going to help us be more productive? Does it take away what I said earlier, which is repetitive tasks? There's a lot of product that you can test and try. I think one thing that we learned was ultimately AI for us is going to plug into what we already have. In other words, we have, for example, an operating system that everybody operates on. It does all the scheduling, it does all the payroll, it tracks applications, caregivers, everything is in this. Reporting structures, dashboards, everything is in the operating system. Well, one of the challenges was to find AI that could integrate with that, because AI's job is to take all the data and
Yep.
help us with it, and move that data around, whether it's scheduling, whether it's matchmaking with caregiver and client, whether it's payroll, whether it's communications to caregivers. We had to make sure data was really good. So we had to make sure our
Correct.
data in our systems were really good, and we have to make sure that the technology we're looking at integrates with that, and some don't, and that's a flag. So the technology game is about hits and misses, but ultimately at the end of the day, you keep at it until you find the one that fits.
Seems like you're just having too much fun, Todd. Seems like you're just having too much fun. I don't know if there's an end for you, man, but why is franchising still one of the most best paths of entrepreneurship today?
Oh, it is. We talk about franchising as a business model for going into business, and every day in America, there's a franchise that opens up every 8 seconds. There are 4,000 different franchise opportunities or companies that you could pursue if you are an entrepreneur. So this stuff's really important. I believe that America is built on small business. If you really look at it closely, and small business, and especially with franchising, there's a lot of people that would never get into a business if it wasn't for a franchise. So it really, to me, it's the on-ramp of getting into business ownership. The vast majority of people that own a franchise, it's their first business. And so for them, the importance of entering into a relationship with a franchisor and a brand is they get an existing brand, they get a proven operating system, they get an operations manual, they get training, marketing, and technology support. And that support with good franchise companies never ends. It's there all the time, and it's constantly being looked at, innovated on, and ultimately, at the end of the day, that new person coming into that business has all those advantages of not having to create the wheel themselves. They get to plug in and go. It sounds easy. It's not easy. So that's the thing, is it's still business. It's still hard work. You're still wearing a lot of hats every single day, but you got a huge head start in being a business owner. So I absolutely love the model of franchising. Again, it's been a big part of building what we have in all of our communities today.
If we're talking to those new owners that are probably thinking about franchise, what is that biggest mindset shift, though, that they should make? And how do you help them actually get there? What I do love about the franchise model is, as you mentioned, it's almost like you have a parachute as you just take this leap of faith, right? That's guiding you to making sure that you don't fail. As long as you listen, you execute a lot of these plans, you're following the guidelines. Because as you mentioned, it's a proven concept. I don't have just one location. There's multiple locations, so it's working. If you just kind of allow us to walk you through, how cool is it to go somewhere where they're holding your hand to success, and that's what you guys are doing.
Well,
What is that biggest
you,
mindset shift that new owners should make?
you said the whole thing. So, and you articulated that well, which is, we have today, we have 79 territories. We've been in business for 19 years. We know that the model works. We have iterated on this concept over time to continue to innovate on it to make sure that we are where we need to be in the marketplace. We have success everywhere that you turn in this business. We have people that can support you. So the foundation is there. And if we really ask our franchisees, ultimately, we want once they are qualified and they're a good fit, and we're a good fit for them, and they're a good fit for us, and we come in and join forces, we want them to follow that operating system. Okay, and that's something we won't yield on. So we look at it and say, we have all this in front of you. You've invested in this proven operating model. You've invested in this brand. Follow the system. Don't get off the track. Just follow it for a few years, and you know what? You'll be successful. And so we really harp on that. And look, we're not trying to put people into business to be robots, to just follow. You get into this business, you learn it, you succeed, follow the model, and you'll come up with new ideas. Share them with us, okay? The best ideas always come from the field, always.
Yes.
They don't come from, we don't sit around up here at our corporate headquarters and try to come up with the next best idea. The best ideas are in the field. So the mindset that you're referring to is simply a mindset of sometimes letting go a little bit and saying, yes, I trust the business model itself. And then I would say there's one other area that I see that if you haven't been a business owner is people underestimate themselves. Don't underestimate yourself. I have seen people that have had very little resources come into franchises, and it has changed their life. Absolutely changed their life. Generational wealth and happiness. And so don't underestimate what this can do for you. Because really that in itself is the mindset. So
Todd, I'm sitting here and I can only imagine, as I ever plugged myself in anywhere, I always have this goal, right? Like, hey, I want to take this from here to here. Like, that's just some ideas that you have. When taking on this role, something come to mind? Like, I want to see this many locations. I want to be able to do this. What is your internal mission? When it comes to touching hearts, where do you want them to be by the time that you leave?
I love that question. That is something that I think about all the time. And from the day I walked in here, once I wasn't arrogant enough to come in here and try to think that I knew what we could do out of the gate until I got to know this business really well. And I'm a student of it. 12 months in, I'm a rookie. So I'm really learning this industry inside and out. I just dive into it every day. I'm poring over podcasts like this with industry experts and what have you. So educating myself was really important, and not really initially coming out and saying, well, we're going to do all this in the first 30 days. Listening to our franchisees, calling and talking to every single one of them and listening and learning. Once I really knew that I understood where we were at, there was no doubt in my mind that we were going to be able to do three things. Number one is we're going to grow this network. Okay, Our biggest competitors have 400 to 600 locations. We're going to hit 100 locations, and that's going to happen within the next 12 months. Then we're going to hit 200 locations, then we'll hit 300 locations, and we're going to continue to grow this brand because, and that is not, those aren't just dreams and visions that we just think we can't attain. We absolutely believe that we can attain those things. We know it because we're seeing it now every single day, and we're doing it. So it takes people to do that. It takes experience to do that. It takes great franchise owners with huge, great financial performance that can validate this concept. So we're going to grow this business. Our goal in the next 5 years is to be to 300 locations, and we're setting out to do that, and we're on track to do that right now.
I love that.
Number two, we are going to build a support team for these franchisees, because every single day when we walk into this building, every single employee thinks one thing: how do I make my franchisees better today? How do we support them even more? What do we give them? Because ultimately, that's all that really matters, is the relationship between us and our franchise owners. And when they're successful, we're successful. And the third thing that I think about is building a world-class team. I've doubled the size of the team here, and I got to tell you, we have passionate, experienced individuals that really understand franchising and really understand home care. And that's a great combination to have. So they're very, very committed and dedicated to supporting this, our vision and our mission. And we have clarity in our purpose of what we're
I want to
doing.
go back a little bit because as the growth continues, and you mentioned about elevating your caregivers, do they become are you guys looking at them to become business partners to really start to invest into themselves and get a franchise? Is that part of the model as well, Todd?
You know what? I love the idea, and I've been a part of this for a lot of years in companies. Of it's great when you can see an individual that's working at a restaurant or in a home care business, and they ultimately have this dream that I could own my own business. I'm in this every day. I can do this, and I've seen that happen throughout my lifetime, and it is really gratifying to see it. We don't have a very written down specific strategy towards the conversion of bringing caregivers, or for that matter, administrative staff, which is equally as important, by the way, the team that supports the caregivers. At some point, we will find a path for those individuals to become owners of a business and continue to work in communities and serve that community. That's a really great point, and it's something we've been talking about.
No, I think about the front. You mentioned the front line. No one really knows better than those that are actually doing the work, right? So and then when you have that and you bring that to a leadership role, that now you speak from experience, not just so much speaking from black and white, a book or anything like that, but to me, the best learning ever possible is when you're actually doing the work. And me, myself, I've been in the entrepreneur running my own business. I had some school, but I don't have a degree. But I'll tell you what used to piss me off, that when someone that had a bachelor's degree that did 4 or 6 years, that never stepped foot into a restaurant, and you gave them the opportunity, but I run circles around them because I understand people, right? I understand how to navigate certain communities, areas. I think all that is important, and school doesn't teach that. So I sit here and think about those caregivers being in homes and seeing so many different avenues of life that they just bring so much knowledge to it, but I love, man, I think one thing I love about you, Todd, is that you're asking every single person that is a part of Touching Hearts, what do you think? What can we do better? Where are you at today? Right? Because all that allows us to just be creative. But I ask, as you're pouring out, who's pouring in?
Yeah. So who is kind of nourishing my life?
Who's pouring
Coming
into
in?
you and
Yeah.
allowing you to continue to show up every day while
Yeah.
you're continue to give.
I'll tell you. I've got really important people around me. First of all, I'll just say from a business standpoint, I'm a huge believer in mentors, and I have had probably 6 or 7 important mentors in my lifetime, just on the business side. Almost in every company I've been in, I've sought out people that I can learn from, talk to, and help me get better every single day. So my business acumen has been developed by not just experience, but also working with really important people like mentors. I think on the personal side, I believe in surrounding myself with really positive people. I don't have time for negativity. I'm looking for people that want to be lifters, not leaners. And I am looking for people like the people in my family, my friends. I have some coworkers that like that. I have a relatively small circle in my lifetime of people that I interact with, but they're the ones that really lift me up and nourish me, because there are good days and there are bad days, and
Yeah.
you need people like that to pick you up and lean on. My faith is incredibly important to me. I lean on that every single day and lean into it. So that's
You know
important.
the best line I've heard this past week, Todd, and I would continue to share this for anybody that says faith, is that a faith-led business will teach you more than hustle ever will. And when I heard that, I'm like, that's so good, right? Like we all want to hustle, but in reality, we just bring faith into it. You know,
Absolutely.
and Todd, I can imagine this was a leap of faith. You going into a whole new world of the elderly, working with the elderly that you've never worked with, but you were willing to learn. You had faith that it was going to work out, and you stay committed to it, for a whole year and excited. Now, it looks like you're really excited that you made the decision, but I can imagine there were some tough times, because it's never easy when you walk into something new and they're looking at you like, hey man, we gave you the seat. What are you doing? We need some growth. We need to see some moving pieces. And I love that. But I also want to think about what is one bad thing that you've seen a leader do that you were able to learn from?
Yeah, great question. So, in our business, I think it's about integrity and holding to standards. And I have seen this from leaders where they will cave on their standards and they will make a deal or deals for the purpose of financial gain instead of making it for the right cultural and core value decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So for me personally, when we make decisions, and we're making decisions every day about something, what franchisees to bring into our system, what investment we should make in technology or other systems for franchisees, those core values to think about every day. But I have seen leadership over my years really put money first, and have decided that we're just going to sell as many franchises as we can because it's all about top line and driving fees up, and not really having a holistic look of, okay, are we a good fit with that individual we're helping to put into business?
Mm-hmm.
And then more importantly, are we going to support them? Are we going to support them for their growth? And so those lessons that I've learned, the good and the bad, have shaped where I'm at today. And I don't yield on those things. We make sure that we do things the right way and we stand behind our core values.
That's so good. That's so good. And everyone will need senior care one day. Todd, we mentioned this a little earlier, or be the one providing it or something. This matters to all of us, right? This truly does. For someone that's considering mission-driven business, why should they look at senior care?
Well, as a business itself, I mean, the first thing people are going to look at is growth. The growth is absolutely off the charts. We don't have enough facilities, whether it's skilled nursing care, assisted living, hospice, to support all the people that need care and need that compassionate caregiver type of care. So that's a huge, huge opportunity in terms of its growth. Number two, people that look at getting into senior care understand that it's a relatively low barrier of entry. You're not buying inventory, you're not buying food, you're not building out a store or a business, brick and mortar. So not buying a lot of assets. So it's relatively easy from an investment standpoint compared to other things. And then if you look at a franchise model, which is number three, and you say, I want to be in this business, and if I go the franchise route, you get everything that we described already on this, which is you get a brand, you get support, you get training, marketing, resources, you get national conferences, you get to be part of a peer network, which is incredibly valuable. Mm-hmm. That's why people are looking at getting into this business. And the business is a good business. I'll say this, one of the most important metrics that we look at as a franchisor, any franchisor, is what we call our renewal rate. That means after 10 years, the franchisee and the franchisor each get a decision to make as to whether they want to continue on together.
That's huge.
We're at about 100% renewal rate right now.
That's good.
Everybody that's been here wants to keep going with us. So,
that's good, man.
but
Listen,
anyway.
as we start wrapping up, where can people find you? Where can they connect with you? And are you guys on social? Have you guys share the websites for those that may be wanting to just see what's going on with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, from a business standpoint, company standpoint, if you're looking for care, you're looking for senior care, touchinghearts.com. It will lead you to exactly what we do, who we are, in all of our locations across the U.S. If you're looking at potentially business opportunity where you may want to become a franchise owner and kind of discover what this would be all about, you can find us in the same place, touchingheartsfranchise.com. If you'd like to make contact with me personally, I love when people reach out to me, just like I reach out to people for questions or help or what have you. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's the easiest way to find me under my name, Todd Treml. And
Love it, man.
I'm
I
very
love
active.
it. Well, this is the time for the blind question. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, brother. What's one big moment, big or small, when a caregiver reminded you why this work really matters?
Oh, here. I've got so many of those. Why this business really matters. Uh, Back in October in Florida, I believe it was the October timeframe. You recall the hurricane,
Yeah, yep, yep.
and we've got owners in Gainesville, we've got owners in Tampa, and they were heavily hit with the hurricane. That
Yes,
means that
sir.
our corporate offices were kind of taken out. Everybody got remote and decentralized really quick. There were a lot of seniors out in those communities that needed support and help, and we were trying to figure out how to just keep the business going through the hurricanes. Our
Mm-hmm.
caregivers drove out and made sure that they were with those seniors. I mean, on their own in hurricanes and everything else to make sure that the people that they were taking care of, somebody was there. I mean, that's a really powerful example of the importance of caregivers, and what strikes me as just incredibly motivational and inspirational. But I probably get a story every time I go visit a franchise location. So
I bet, I
they're
bet.
all they're
And
all great.
it's what, it's what fills your cup, I can imagine as well, man. Hearing these stories, like, man, this is so good. Like, I'm so happy that I could be a part of this, a small part
Yeah.
of it, but a part of it at all. What is your blind question to the next leader, Todd?
My buying question. I think about this from a leadership standpoint, and I would ask the question to the next person is, what is the most underrated skill that leaders need to develop right now?
Okay.
What is the most underrated skill leaders need to
That's so
develop?
good. That is really a good question, Todd. Like,
Something you really got
I
to think about.
definitely,
Because I think about those things like, where do I need to continue to grow my skill sets? So
yeah. No, I love it, man. Well,
it's
listen,
changing, right?
it does, it would always continue as long as you want to grow. You should always be thinking like that. That's why I think it's such a good question, to be quite frank. But Todd, it was a pleasure. I know you got things to do, man. You got probably franchisees blowing you up right now, and I hope to one thing I actually want to go back to is that everything you said you're going to do, you didn't say I want to do or we hope to do. This is what we're doing. And I love that you just spoke that into existence.
Hmm.
Because in reality, when we sit here and say, I would want to do that, it's very different. It hits very different than say, I am going to do that. Because now you have confidence that it's going to happen versus still kind of being on the edge of it. So
And
kudos to you, man, on that thinking.
thank you very much. That's intentional, and it's from a really core belief that it's going to happen. And
Yeah.
your franchisees and your staff and your teams begin to buy into that, and they're going, "Wow, he means it, and we mean it, and we're in this all together. It's not about
Correct.
one person." So,
Correct. Well, Todd, I appreciate you guys. Continue to like, subscribe, and comment. And senior care is not going anywhere. It's something that we're all going to experience. It's a conversation we should all be having on what that actually looks like when we start to have our own end of life. Too many people wait till they're already in it. But you can also be a part of it early on if you want to own your own franchise. How cool is it that you have someone like Todd that has so much experience when it comes to franchising, and then how they're actually helping other franchisees go from fear to success? Because a lot of times you go in there with fear and then you realize, like, oh my God, I should have done this sooner. So Todd, we appreciate you. My name's Efrain. This is Todd. We'll catch you guys on the next one.
thanks,
Laters.
Efrain. Take care. Bye bye.